The national final of Green Power's Formula 24 2005 Electric Car Series was held on the 16th of October on the full Goodwood Grand Prix circuit in West Sussex. 78 cars had qualified for the event through 11 regional heats held throughout the summer. Cars start to arrive at 7:30 on a clear autumn morning and set up their bases in their allocated paddocks. As soon as they are unloaded, work starts on preparing the cars for scrutineering. Last-minute adjustments are made and the all-important battery fixings checked over.
There it is. Ready, put it back in.
In some cases, the work is more extensive, as final bits of building and altering are still needed to get the car up to scratch. Once ready, the cars queue up at the scrutineer's hall, anxiety written all over some of the faces, especially the newcomers. Would they get the okay to race? With over 78 cars to process in an hour and a half, queuing is inevitable, and a sense of humour and patience is a necessity.
She smells really bad.
The scrutineers, many now in their 6th year of the job, process the cars quickly but thoroughly. Drivers and pit crew are quizzed about their car and its operation to check understanding and safety. It is essential that drivers as well as the pit crew have a working knowledge of the car in order to enable trackside first aid to be undertaken should the car stop out on the circuit. This could save valuable minutes waiting for a pickup vehicle to arrive if it happens during the race. Smarties from All Saints School in Weymouth in Dorset, although veterans of previous finals, are just glad to make scrutineering. This time they found themselves a reserve and only got the call for the final 2 days beforehand. The scrutineers undertake an extensive list of checks, including steering, brakes, dimensions and bodywork, as well as key safety items such as seat belts, roll bars, hooters and mirrors. If satisfied, the OK sticker is applied and the car is ready to race. The marshals work hard to keep the scrutineering queue moving to ensure that everyone is ready for the start of practice at 10:30. Whilst it's clearly a lot of fun, what is Green Power really about?
Green Power is an initiative to create an interest in engineering in secondary schools. So by giving them a competition where they have to design, build and race cars, we give them the motors and batteries so they all have an equal playing field, as it were. They then design the cars to a specification and race them. So by being practical and theoretical, it's really subliminally becoming involved in engineering, and suddenly they find they like it, and we're looking to create more people to leave school and become engineers.
With practice over, the cars now parade down the main straight in numerical order with all their team members. At this point, the award for best presented team is decided by the judges. The race numbers on the cars indicate their seeding as well as their grid position in accordance with their performance in the summer heats. The entrants line up on the main straight in lines of 5 cars in numerical order with the fastest cars at the front of the grid, pole position. As we walk up through the field, look at the wide variety of shapes and sizes of cars that show how many ways the F24 specification can be interpreted. New cars and old, flyers and plodders, high and low tech, they're all totally focused on what the next 6 hours is going to bring. Some drivers about to go out on the 2.4 mile Grand Prix circuit for the first time are clearly waiting with some trepidation. As for the veterans, it's more about doing it better this time. At 11 o'clock, the hooter goes for the start of the race and the first rank of cars is flagged away. Each row follows in turn as soon as the pushers from the row ahead have cleared the track. The fastest cars streak away, intent on leading the way for the first lap. Behind them, the rest of the field continues to move away safely. A couple of cars mess things up completely and limp away, causing the cars behind to have to weave their way past. For the 6th year in succession, there are no incidents to mar the start. Immediately the field spreads out and individual tussles start to develop as each team adheres to their pre-race strategies. The car numbers give a good early indication as to who is running well and who is struggling. The undulating nature of the Goodwood circuit creates areas where some of the cars excel while struggling on others. Hence there is much overtaking on every lap and little chance for the drivers to relax. And of course marshals are poised to lend a hand when needed. There is a wide range of speed in the early stages, either through design or through strategy. Some cars are taking it easy to begin with, knowing how long the race is. Others are pedal to the metal to get as many laps under their belts before something goes wrong. Many settle in with other cars and use slipstreaming to help reduce power consumption. The favourite, the amazing Turbo Tortoise from Furze Platt School in Maidenhead, cruises down the main straight at over 40 miles an hour. As the 2004 champion and outright distance record holder, the school are confident that they can chalk up another national final victory in 2005. Their stablemate, Super Snail, shows a similar turn of speed after Madgwick as it carves its way through the field despite this being an uphill sector of the circuit. One of the 4 experimental Formula 35 cars in the race, from Colchester Royal Grammar School in Essex, comes to grief on the main straight, and a marshal tries to establish whether the problem can be easily solved or whether the pickup trailer is needed. Meanwhile, the field stream down the main straight, each car in its own race with its own immediate objectives. The cars always make a special effort here as they pass the large crowd cheering them on. Car number 60, Simple Silkin from Lord Silkin School in Shropshire, hits real problems when it loses a wheel. Despite the terminal look of things, however, the car was to be repaired and would re-enter the race in the last hour. Technology knows no limit in a Green Power 6-hour race. Bruton School for Girls from Somerset, whose car is made entirely of wood, are keen to show off their sat-nav system that allows them to not only track the car around the Goodwood circuit, but also to monitor motor temperature and speed as well. On the main straight, Chatham House's number 1 car Aluminium overtakes its older teammate British Racing Green and Wolf, car number 76, from St Syned School in South Wales. Wolf, a real veteran, makes up in strength what it lacks in aerodynamics. Once the race is half an hour old, the pits start to come into play as cars arrive for their first driver and battery changes. Speed and efficiency is of paramount importance, and some teams have their pit stops down to a fine art, as shown here by Bexley Business Academy, who, with 3 identical cars, are able to make their practice really count. Others are not quite as good. Teams are not allowed to work on their cars during pit stops. Any repairs should be done in the paddock. However, what the marshal doesn't see Out on the track, the race continues. Laps are completed and plans and strategies altered and refined to suit the circumstances that develop. Every half an hour, a full position report is posted at race control, and a screen in the pit area provides up-to-the-minute information on all the cars in the race. Individual battles go on up and down the field. but the two Fersplatte rockets are still showing the way. The plucky girls from Colchester High School for Girls in Grease Lightning are just glad to be at the finals after managing only 100 metres in their whole 2004 campaign. The crowd watches on, as with so many cars in the race there is always action on the track or in the pits. Cars enter the pits down the right-hand pit lane after the chicane and have to slow down before they enter the actual pit area. With only 24 pits and 78 cars in the race, pits are allocated prior to the cars coming in, and the pit crew use boards to inform their incoming cars as to which pit they should head for. Here comes Grease Lightning again, still lapping consistently. Other groups of cars are fighting enthusiastically for position, as if it was the last lap already. The pit crews have no chance to let up, with their cars coming in every 20 minutes and batteries to fetch and carry. The drivers are never happy and they have to watch what the other cars are doing. Number 66, the AJM Flyer, a private entry from Tabor Science College in Braintree, makes another successful stop. Clearly the trend in 2005 is for small girl drivers.
It is a really long track, and as you can see I'm shaking my hands because we've sort of got buttons, so I've got quite bad hand cramp. I was really nervous, but going around it's absolutely fine.
Have you been round it?
No, I'm going around next, so
You're on next, so
yeah.
How are you feeling about that?
Butterflies in my stomach. Yeah,
How's the rest of your team done today already?
really well.
The battery charging facility is the hub of the event. Every car has one identical charger for the one spare set of batteries allowed under Formula 24 regulations. The charge provided will never exceed the actual usage on the car, so many careful calculations have to be made to determine the race strategy in order to conserve power for the full 6 hours. This is a real challenge for the pit crews and team managers. Deep into the race, the pit crews plan their pit stops and call their cars in using boards displayed from the pit wall. If the driver misses a board, it may throw out the power management plans completely, or even cause the car to stop out on the track with flat batteries. The impressively decorated blister is from West Somerset Community College, having qualified at its second attempt at the Bedford Autodrome Heat just 2 weeks before the final. The famous Goodwood chicane provides a challenge for all, whether to take it flat out or not. All have a go, including Goodwood from Bruton School for Girls in Somerset. The girls from Sandbach High School run the Complete and Utter Chaos team, and their top car, Max Factor, manages the chicane with ease, as do the boys from Chipping Sodbury in R-Pod, but the track is dry. Seaford College and Kingston Grammar School have a huge coming together at the chicane, and the marshals pick up the pieces and return the cars to the paddock for repairs. Then, 4 hours into the race, down came the rain. The cars slow down and the chicane becomes an ice rink. Drivers, however, don't flinch and soldier on. After much consideration, the clerk of the course suspends the race as the rain becomes just too heavy. The enclosed cars are struggling for any sort of visibility, and the open ones are just wet. Having checked with the weatherman at Goodwood Airfield, it was established that it was a passing cloudburst and that better weather was on the way. But cars were still pulled off the track and returned to their paddock garages as they came into the main straight. Some, however, wanted to keep on racing, and with the track being 2.4 miles long and some cars taking up to 10 minutes to complete a lap, cars kept coming in for some time, some even ignoring the calls to stop racing. Then, with the worst of the weather over, a decision is made to continue the race, and the finish is put back to 5:30 to make up for time lost in the downpour. The cars are let back onto the track. The track is still very wet, and most of the drivers are excelling in coping with the tricky conditions. Spray is still a real problem, as few cars have mudguards. Speeds drop as the drivers feel their way round through the puddles. However, Super Snail thought it could still take the chicane flat out. Teammate Turbo Tortoise, with more experienced drivers on board, shows how it should be done. The marshals react quickly and get Super Snail off the racing line. Then the sun comes out, and with the track rapidly drying, speeds rise once more. But Super Snail still seems to have problems negotiating the chicane. Broken cars are returned as quickly as possible to the paddock area on the trailers to have new life breathed into them. Checkered flag comes out after 6 hours. Turbo Tortoise, the pre-race favourite, takes the flag. His teammate Super Snail comes in second. Congratulations must go to Furs Platt School. Their combination of aerodynamics and reliable mechanics means a first and a second for the first time. Records haven't been broken because of the rain, but it's been a great race. The cooling water left in the winning car is put to good use to cool the driver down. The full results of the race and a detailed race analysis can be found on the Green Power website.